9 ocean creatures injure divers far more than sharks. And today, you'll learn how to avoid them. I'll show you how to recognize their telltale signs, understand their behavior, apply basic first aid, and use prevention skills that actually work in the water. I'm Don, and I have personally encountered every type of animal that I'm going to talk to about today. While I'm not a marine biologist, I am keen to ensure that I can dive safely with respect to the wildlife we spend our dives with. Quick question to frame the rest of this episode before we dive on in, and I'll tell you by the end of the video which animal that I talk to is the most likely to injure the most amount of divers in the next year. Think about it. Let's dive on in. Most divers scan the blue water for danger, but the real risk often sits motionless on the seafloor. Sea urchins and venomous starfish cause more injuries than any swimming predator, and they never move to attack you. Long spine urchins have brittle, barbed spines that penetrate boots and wetsuits, then snap off in your skin. By design, those spines act like tiny hypodermic needles, creating immediate burning pain followed by deep throbbing aches that can last for hours. Fragments are hard to remove, and digging at them usually drives pieces deeper and increases your infection risk. Crown of thorns starfish carry sizable venomous spines that trigger intense inflammation, swelling, and sometimes nausea, numbness, and lingering pain. Given these urchins and starfish move slowly and are always located at the bottom, they are the biggest danger to divers entering the dives from the shore or by poor buoyancy control. It's important to note that these animals do not hunt you. Divers hunt them by dropping onto the bottom and grabbing rocks for instability or stepping on. These are entirely defensive measures to protect themselves. Neutral buoyancy, flat trim, and a hands-off habit keep you safely above their weapons. And for those entering from the shore, it's important to shuffle forward slowly, scanning below the best you can. In the event that you do get punctured by these starfish or sea urchins, the best way to handle the pains of the toxins is by submerging the area in hot, but not scalding water until the pain goes away. It shouldn't singe your skin. It should be hot, though. As hot as you can tolerate anyways. After the pain subsided, you can try to remove the needles, but be careful to not push them in. But do not crush or break the spines in the process. And see a doctor as soon as you can. Monitor for infection in the meantime. Up next is an invisible tripwire that punishes the heavy feet. Stingrays bury in the sand with only eyes and a tail tip showing, and many divers swim right over them without even noticing. More than 1,000 stingray injuries occur in the United States every year, which is far more common than shark incidents. A ray's tail spine works like a serrated harpoon with backward-facing barbs that tear on the way out and can break off in the wound. You may remember Crocodile Dundee, a TV legend from Australia that unfortunately met his end by a stingray after it barbed him through the heart. An unfortunate end, as he truly loved stingrays, and they are very docile and friendly animals usually. However, they can be, just like humans, behave a little unpredictably, especially if bumped into by a diver or stepped on, where they will barb you out of defense. Venom in the grooves along the spine causes immediate, severe pain, followed by swelling, weakness, and sometimes tissue death around the puncture. Serious cases can progress to shock, heart rhythm problems, and breathing difficulty. And the deep channel of the tear invites marine bacteria. Stingrays strike when stepped on or cornered, so it's important to take care near the bottom of the seafloor and when entering the water. If you are stung, the wounds can look quite gruesome. It's important to stop the bleeding first. Once that is handled, to help with the burning, you can submerge the wound in as hot water as you can take without it being scalding. Do not sew or close the wound, as it can seal in bacteria, which will lead to infection. Bandage over it instead. Monitor for infection and see a doctor as soon as you can, ideally in 12 hours or less. Prevention is simple. Shuffle your feet in sand shallows. Scan before you kneel or place a hand. You want to give a buried ray a wide space to exit. And of course, buoyancy control to stay off that seafloor. Camera out for the next one, because the most photogenic little beauty can shut down your breathing in minutes. Blue-ringed octopuses are palm-sized, gorgeous, and dangerously easy to underestimate. Their bite delivers a tetrodotoxin, a powerful neurotoxin that blocks sodium channels and can paralyze respiratory muscles while you remain fully conscious. Definitely not something you want to happen while you're diving under the water. Those neon blue rings are a warning display, not a decoration, and they brighten when the animal feels threatened. Early symptoms include tingling around the mouth, slurred speech, and trouble swallowing, followed by progressive weakness and eventually respiratory failure. There is no antidote, and survival depends on calm management and ventilatory support until your body clears the toxin. Being bit by one is a serious affair, and getting out of the water before your body shuts down is of the utmost importance. Be prepared with emergency oxygen and someone ready to perform CPR as the toxin progresses. If your heart stops, someone can still help your body circulate via CPR. But of course, the best way is prevention. Respect the display. Keep your hands to yourself and never try to pose or encourage movement for a shot. Buoyancy control is very important as these critters are not aggressive and only bite defensively. So what's important is you can definitely get close to them and film them. Just don't harass them and try to make them do something in a defensive nature. You don't want them to be defensive. They can be curious, but I still keep my distance. It's important to recognize them as an intelligent animal. And if you're enjoying this video, now is a great time to like and subscribe. I post weekly content that helps divers grow their skills, build confidence, and explore the ocean with curiosity and care. And by the way, I have a monthly newsletter that tries to keep you up to date on the latest and greatest of the scuba industry, at least what I can find across the internet, and I will share that with you once a month. Let me know what you think. And now the question is, do you think you'll spot the next threat in time? You might not, because it's almost transparent. Jellyfish can look like drifting plastic bags until a tentacle makes contact with your skin, your lips, or the gap under your hood. Many jellyfish will sting you and you'll be fine, but there are a handful where a sting is much more than an inconvenience. Box jellyfish and the tiny urchins, and I'm probably butchering its name, but they both pack enough venom to cause life-threatening cardiovascular and neurological effects. Portuguese man-of-war is not a true jellyfish, but its tentacles can trail almost 30 feet from its body, or that's 10 meters for some of you, laying invisible tripwires through the water column. Nemesis are like little pistols, and these fire on contact and can still discharge after the animal dies. So breached tentacles remain dangerous. And those nemesis, the little bullets from them, are basically little pods of neurotoxins, and those can inject straight into your skin. First aid varies by species, but a few principles help. Carefully remove the tentacles without touching them by using seawater to rinse, and consider hot but below scalding water immersion to reduce the pain. Bathing the area in vinegar can inactivate some box jellyfish nemesis, but it is generally avoided for man-of-war. So follow your local guidance when possible and know what kind of jellyfish you could potentially expect in the place that you're diving in. For those more dangerous stings, it is best to get a doctor as soon as possible. Situational awareness matters most because currents can push blooms into new places with little warning, especially in the warm seasons. Covering a majority of the skin will help reduce the space you can potentially be stung. Up next, we'll look at a pretty shell on the sand that feels safer than a drifting tentacle, but the confidence is exactly what the next predator exploits. Cone snails look like harmless souvenirs, and picking one up is a classic diver mistake. These mollusks fire a hollow, barbed tooth like a harpoon and inject a complex venom cocktail called conotoxins. Different species target different nerve pathways, but the result is they can rapidly paralyze you and shut down breathing in minutes. The dart can penetrate thin gloves, and handling empty shells can still be risky because these animals hide deep inside and will defend themselves once they realize you've grabbed them. So if you do see a shell, it may not necessarily be empty. They may just be hiding in the shell. It's best to leave the shells where they are. As a mantra in scuba diving, we leave no trace behind, and that includes not taking anything with us. So you may look, control your buoyancy, but do not touch. If you are stung, abort the dive immediately, similar to the blue octopus. You want to immobilize the limb as much as possible, monitor breathing, and get urgent medical help, because supportive care is the only treatment. Be prepared with emergency oxygen and someone ready to perform CPR if your heart stops. The rule is simple and absolute. Take only pictures. Leave even beautiful shells alone, and never encourage others to handle them for the camera. Now, meet the reef statues with needles that hurt more than almost anything else in the ocean. Stonefish, scorpionfish, and lionfish hide in plain sight by mimicking rocks, debris, and fronds of algae. Accidental contact drives a spine into your skin and injects protein-based venom that causes intense pain, swelling, and sometimes even tissue damage. These fish are often masters of camouflage and will not flinch when you get near. Instead, if you accidentally and swiftly kick one with poor buoyancy control, you will be met with a swift prick of the needles with a quick injection of toxins into your body. And stonefish stings are infamous for excruciating pain and can lead to systematic symptoms including breathing difficulty in severe cases. While lionfish spines rarely kill, they can cause local necrosis, which is where tissue dies due to lack of oxygen and days of throbbing pain that ruins a dive trip. The immediate first aid they can provide for such a sting is hot water immersion, as hot is tolerable until the pain subsides, with care to avoid the burns. These fish do not chase you. If you do have spines stuck in your skin, you can take them out. And from there, monitor the area for potential infection or necrosis and see a doctor as soon as you can. But still, I will want to remind you that these fish do not chase you, and most incidents result from poor buoyancy control, low trim, or a hand where it should not be. Your best defense is control, situational awareness, and a no-touch mindset anytime you are near areas with these fish. Some fish, however, do not wait for contact, and they will defend real estate with surprising conviction. Triggerfish, for one, become fiercely territorial during nesting and will chase divers far beyond the nest site. Titan triggerfish, for example, are quite big and can be a real terror of the deep. Some people might be afraid of sharks, but the real terror of the deep is Titan triggerfish. Let me tell you, they should make a Titan triggerfish Jaws movie. That's what I think. A nesting Titan triggerfish defends a cone-shaped territory that extends upward, so swimming straight up can also keep you inside the danger zone. It can follow you straight up to the boat. The safest exit is to go out horizontally while maintaining eye contact and keeping your fins between you and the fish. But these are not the only fish you have to worry about in the water. There are, of course, barracuda and other hunting fish that can mistake shiny objects for prey and will dart in with startling speed to investigate reflective gear, jewelry, or even camera rigs reflecting light. Avoid flashy items, keep your movement smooth, and give any patrolling barracuda a respectful buffer. If you are bitten and are visibly bleeding, end the dive immediately. Once out of the water, treat the wound by applying some pressure until the bleeding stops. Clean the wound and then dress it. These bites are rarely life-threatening, but can be infection risks. Aggression in these cases is more about territory or mistaken identity, not malice. And calm, predictive behavior helps de-escalate quickly. Get out of that triggerfish's territory. Our next subject is curious, like a barracuda, but carries venom built for speed. The sea snake. They hunt actively, and unlike many other marine animals, they may approach a diver to investigate with their curious and inquisitive nature. Their venoms are among the most potent neurotoxins in nature, adapted to immobilize fish quickly so prey does not escape. And what's really cool is these snakes are actually free diving too. They need to breathe air on the surface, but due to their adaptations can dive for a very long time. Bites are rare and usually happen when a snake is handled, trapped, or accidentally pinned. But small fang marks can be easy to miss, which is important to note that they have a very small mouth, so it is very hard for them to bite you. And again, they will only bite out of defensive nature. So if you do see one swimming right at you, checking out what's in your pockets, maybe slinking around your BCD, it's important to keep calm. It is not trying to bite you, but if you grab it and squeeze it and try and throw it off you, you're asking for it to be defensive. So just stay calm like it is, be inquisitive with it, and it will eventually get bored and leave you alone. But if you are bit, the symptoms may be delayed from 10 minutes to 24 hours and include muscle weakness, trouble speaking and swallowing, and progressive respiratory failure, kind of like the blue ring octopus and the cone snail. And just like the cone snail and the blue ring octopus, get out of the water and on the boat as soon as possible. Get to a doctor as fast as you can. Have emergency oxygen ready and have someone ready to perform CPR. Calm, composure, and space are your best tools here, just as they are with almost every animal on this list. Remember, they're free diving. They have a limited time down underwater and they're probably looking for food. They're not likely interested in you unless you really show great interest in them, then they might come your way if you really want that. Just remember, they are not hostile. If they approach you, they're likely just curious. You're not on their menu. And now we are nearly at the answer to that opening question. But first, let's talk about the most misunderstood ocean giant. Sharks dominate the fear narrative, yet confirmed unprovoked incidents average around a few dozen serious bites a year worldwide. Typical annual fatalities are on the order of 5 to 10 globally, while bee stings kill roughly 60 people per year in the United States alone. Most shark interactions with divers are brief, cautious, and curiosity-driven, and sharks usually move on after a quick inspection. Diving accidents related to buoyancy loss, gas management, disorientation, or currents are far more common than shark injuries among trained divers. However, sharks can be opportunistic and mistake the identity of a human if they are splashing at the surface, so it's important to stay grouped together. Calm composure, limbs close first dangling, and keep the shark in front of you where you can see it and it can see you looking at it. Shark bites are kind of a little bit like fish bites, but are much more dangerous due to the size of the shark, which can remove entire limbs for the bigger sharks. And of course, a partially or fully removed limb is a real threat under the water because the bleeding will not stop until you get out of the water. So the most serious threat of a bite of that magnitude is bleeding and getting out of the water as soon as you can. In such a case, if anyone is available and can, a tourniquet might save the life or stop the bleeding from the limb in that situation. But truly, the chance of getting bit by a shark is very rare. Versus the Titan triggerfish, just find the nearest nest, jump in the water, you'll see what I mean. And of course, I'm not suggesting you do. We all want to be safe and enjoy our dives. A Titan fish will not allow you to enjoy your dive. So understanding the real risk lets you enjoy the presence of a top predator without letting the movie scripts write your dive plan. Now we have the answer to our opening question. Stingrays. Stingrays and sea urchins are the most likely to injure divers this year, not sharks. And with that, let's replace fear with awareness, skill, and respect, and the ocean becomes far safer and far more rewarding. Buoyancy, trim, and hands-off discipline prevents most every incident on this list, especially around sand flats and reef structure. Seasonal awareness for jellyfish, no-touch rules for shells, and calm exits from nesting zones handle the rest. So up next, I only briefly mentioned sharks here and how amazing they are to see in the water and respect in the water. To learn more, check out this video here. Next. And alternatively, YouTube probably thinks that you'd like this video up here. The more you know, the more you love and protect the ocean. Until next time.